Okay, welcome everyone to Unity Spiritual Center in Lower Lake. And this morning we are honored to have Angelika Schafer with us. She's an ordained interfaith minister, and she'll begin our service with an opening prayer and music. Angelika.
All right, thank you and welcome everybody. It's really good to be with you, to be together here in spirit and in Zoom. So just relax and focus on the breath, and focus on this moment, and just simply land here in this moment. Out beyond ideas of wrongdoing and right doing, there is a field. I'll meet you there. Rumi points to a state of consciousness, of oneness, where there is no other. Allow yourself, if even just for a moment at a time, to experience that state by shifting the focus from what you think you are to your true self, quieting the restless mind, going deeper where peace is always available. Just like the sun is always above the clouds, whether we see it or not. Deep in the ocean of consciousness, where there is no motion from the waves of manifest creation, we can always take rest there, anytime. Awareness of each breath, and residing in this one present moment only. Nothing real can be threatened. Nothing unreal exists. Herein lies the peace of God. In the depths of the ocean of consciousness, there is no right or wrong, no matter how much the mind wants to make it so. Let's listen to the deeper wisdom of our heart, the sacred heart that can embrace all things. Lokaha samastaha. It means may all beings be at peace and may they have what they need. In the silence of the morning light, I feel my soul take gentle flight. In a world in pain, yet hope is near, a sacred sound that calms all fear. Lokaha samastaha, sukhino bhavantu. Lokaha samastaha, sukhino bhavantu. Each breath a whisper from the skies, a prayer for hearts where sorrow lies. Through every tear, through every scar, we shine again just as we are. Lokah samasta sukhino bhavantu. Lokah samasta sukhino bhavantu. Lokah samasta sukhino bhavantu. Lokah samasta sukhino bhavantu. Healing light, forgiveness, peace. Let kindness rise where hate once grew. Let ancient love be born anew. One voice, one soul, a sacred flame, all beings blessed in every name. Lokah samasta sukhino bhavantu. Lokah samasta sukhino bhavantu. Lokah samasta sukhino bhavantu. Lokah samasta sukhino bhavantu. The world awakens in your grace. Peace returns to every place.
Thank you. Thank you, Angelika. As always, beautiful. I look forward to listening to it again, the recording. Okay, I would like to make a few announcements now um, for the Unity Church. And just to remind you that at church this next Sunday will be Patricia Holler continuing part 2 of Keep a True Lent. And she's preparing us for Easter Sunday, a Sunday which she will be at church on April the 5th. So, yeah, yay, terrific. And then on the 22nd, we have a Zoom service with Reverend Bob Brock, and Word Power is the title of his talk. And then, for by your words you will be justified, and by your words you will be condemned. And so, always terrific. And Bill Barros will be here with music on the 22nd of March. And so now, and then as we prepare for Easter Sunday at church, on Palm Sunday, we have Sarah Merlin. And how do you honor the divine presence within? And she is always wonderful because, she has live music and it's just a wonderful service if you can be at church on the 29th, on the 5th Sunday of the month. And as I told you, Easter Sunday at church. And so I would like to continue now. And read our invocation affirmation and really think about it. This is who we are. There is only one presence and one power active in my life, God the good, omnipotent. And then there is only one presence and one power active in Unity, Clear Lake Center, God the good, omnipotent. And finally, there is only one presence and one power active in our world, God, the good, omnipotent. And the five basic ideas of unity is the foundation of our unity beliefs. The first one, God is absolute good, everywhere present. And then human beings have a spark of divine spirit within them, the Christ consciousness within. Therefore, they are inherently good. And the third one, human beings create their experience by the activity of their thinking. Thoughts held in mind produce after their kind. And four, prayer is the process that affirms our connection with God mind and brings forth wisdom, healing, and everything good. But finally, knowing and understanding universal laws, also called truth, are not enough. A person must also live the truth that he or she knows. And now, looking at my schedule, I see that Angelika is going to bless us with her talk, more music, meditation, and it will, yes, Angelika, it's yours. Thank you.
Thank you, Barbara, and thank you, Patricia. It's always so beautiful to be with you. So, this is the I just realized I was muted. Thank you, Barbara, and thank you, Patricia. It's always so good to be with you. And I wanted to start the talk with a song that I wrote about that theme, this Rumi poem that has fascinated me for a long time. May the road rise up to meet you. May the wind be at your back. May the sun shine warm upon your face, and the rains fall softly on your fields, until we meet again. May you be held in love's embrace. Beyond ideas of right and wrong, there is a field. I'll meet you there. When the soul lies gently in that grass, the world's too full to talk about, until we meet again. May you be bathed in love like that. Loka samasta sukhinu bhavantu. Loka samasta sukhinu bhavantu. May all beings be happy and free. May all beings live in peace. May all beings be happy and free. May all beings live in peace. So I love the lullabies. I like the songs that go really deep, both with the tonality, the melody, that sound current, as well as the message. So music is just such a beautiful tool. And I chose this theme of Rumi's poem, Beyond Ideas of Right or Wrongdoing. There is a field, I'll meet you there. Because I believe this world being so divided and in so much polarity, and everybody pointing the finger at the other person and making them wrong, and also making ourselves wrong inside of ourselves. Since the world is a projection, we're doing the same thing within. And so I explored this I always do. I'm a very contemplative modern mystic who, explores and contemplates all the time. So life always gives me the next curriculum, the next lesson, the next theme to work with. And I feel it's going deeper for all of us. So let me read you the whole poem that this talk is based on. Out beyond ideas of wrongdoing and right doing, there is a field. I will meet you there. When the soul lies down in that grass, the world is too full to talk about. Ideas, language, even the phrase each other doesn't make sense. So in his poetic way, the mystic Rumi pointed to a field of intelligent love that human intellect is incapable of understanding, and language is just too limited to express. So I want to go into that field together. And to me, it's the only space where true peace really exists. So I really had a crisis of faith. I was stress tested 3 weeks ago, Valentine's weekend. I think I might have talked about my beloved soulmate that came in a cat form in July. He showed up as this little kitten, tuxedo, the most gorgeous creature I have ever seen. And he turned out to be such a huge, big spirit. And he brought so much joy. I would laugh my head off. And Nick, my friend who lives next to me here, we became like a family with Merlin, Ananda, the blissful wizard. And I have never seen any creature in any kind of form, in any species, live so fully and be so present. And I just was absolutely in love with this little being. So Valentine's Day, the weekend of Valentine's Day, that Friday night, I let Merlin out. He needed to go out at night sometime. And a little while later, I hear a cry. And I go with my flashlight in my underwear outside. And I see him in the mouth of a mountain lion being dragged off out of the driveway, right in front of the house. And I just went into this state of shock. And I didn't sleep. It was at 2 a.m. I didn't sleep for the rest of the night and just kept praying but being in shock. And the next morning I had to go to the Bay Area to do music for this healing retreat. That was Friday and Saturday. And I had to kind of function. I was able to sing by grace, but the rest of the time I just cried. I just cried and cried and cried and couldn't stop. It was such a shock to my system. And I realized that the child in me wanted to, it was bewildered, to blame the divine, blame God, blame the universe for not preventing this, for not protecting us, for making this manifest like this. He was only with us for 7 months. He was probably a year old, I'm guessing. He was 12 pounds. At the beginning he was 1, and at the end he was 12, and he was the most magnificent being. I could write a book about Merlin Ananda. But anyway, and it just tested me in such a deep way because I questioned, why? This is the inner child that says, why? Why is there such injustice? Why is there such pain and heartache and sorrow and separation in this world? Why can't we see through it? And so I just worked with that. And I'm present with whatever is here. I don't make it wrong. So I've trained my mind not to make that part of me wrong. and just to have a conversation with it, to allow it to have its feelings, and to let the other aspect of my being embrace that. So it's a really interesting dance and an interesting balancing act. And, to allow myself to not have the answers. The only answer I got when I kept tuning in psychically and in prayer was, it's not the end of the story. But, my little heart has just broken into a million pieces. And in this world, it's like, I don't know how to avoid heartache and pain. Every being is in some sort of pain. So what I realized is how to hold the heartache. And it's not a once and for all thing. Basically, it's a consistent everyday practice. So what I've noticed is it's like there is two versions of me. So one version, and it's often how I wake up, because I grew up with a lot of trauma and a lot of pain in a very painful family. That version of me that wakes up is like bewildered about the world. Oh, another day on earth. Oh my God. and it just recalls all the heartache, right? So that version of me, that human part, I used to make that wrong. I wanted it to go away. I wanted it to disappear. I wanted to fix it, to heal it. That's why I did a million workshops and programs, and studied and spent a fortune on retreats and whatever. But there is another version of me that is like the ocean. That is that infinite consciousness that is completely it's walking and talking with God. It's the mystic. It's the one that knows. It's omniscient. It's omnipresent. It knows all things. It is always connected to the divine. That's the other version of me. And I had this huge realization that both of these versions exist depending on where I put my focus and my awareness. But I used to think that the human version that has all the heartache and pain is wrong. And that the other one, that the goal was to chase after the other version who is in oneness and just be permanently there. But I realize now that was that division that Rumi talks about, wrongdoing and right doing, wrong and right, splitting yourself into pieces. And I realized that the divine isn't like that. By its very nature, it embraces all things, all heartache, all separation, all exploration of what it is like in this earth life, in this 3D consciousness where we feel separate. And that exploration is just as sacred as being in the state of oneness, being above the clouds in the sunshine, or being in the depths of the ocean, way beyond the waves and the turbulence of the waves. So I realized that there is nothing wrong with any experience as long as I don't totally identify with the human part and think that it's all I am. And I used to be, when I was younger, caught in that. Like I had no choice to switch and be aware of the divine part. I only wrestled within the bubble of that human existence that felt all this pain. So it's a matter of focus, awareness, and identity. So of course, when we are in pain, we run out and try to fix it, right? We try to find a cure, whether it's physical pain or we go to a doctor, or whether it's emotional or mental imbalance. We try to find remedies. And I think the only remedy humanity hasn't learned to focus on is the real one, which is to simply embrace that part as well. Love it, be with it, forgive it if you have to, but to not make it wrong, to not divide ourselves into two. What if that human exploration, with all its pain, is actually something incredibly valuable? What if it is the reason we even came here? To have that human experience. But we constantly try to fix it, make it wrong, make it less than. But what if it isn't? What if it isn't? So I've reframed my life's purpose. I'm actually only here to set the mind right. So even Merlin's very shocking, tearing death was an opportunity to set the mind right. And so every time I think a critical thought, or I speak critical words, or I act in an upset way, I know that I contribute to the wars in the world. So the war is not out there. It's just a collective projection of our inner state. So what if nothing is wrong here and nothing is right? And what I focus on, if I focus on the negativity in the world, it's just a habit. And it's an opportunity to set the mind right every time. So it needs a lot of training, this mind, because we were taught in a way that was very detrimental to our own well-being. So it needs training like a dog, you train by repetition and by positive reinforcement. So you shift your focus, so every time you have a challenge, what if it's just an opportunity to set the mind right? Not in terms of right and wrong, but to set the mind right is to focus on that other nature that can embrace all that the other part of the mind thinks is wrong. So it becomes like this wise, beautiful parent, this wise, beautiful mystic that lives inside of us, that is completely connected with the source of all things. And it is parenting and teaching all the inner upset children in our minds and hearts. So Rumi also said, yesterday I was clever, so I wanted to change the world. Today I am wise, so I am changing myself. But it's not changing in a way that is just a word, that could be misleading. It's really accepting, embracing, and allowing every part of our experience to be as it is. Because we can't fix the polarity in this world, good, bad, evil, all of these opposites, day, night, sorrow, heartache, joy, pain and pleasure. We cannot fix the polarity. We're always going to experience all of those things. But we can stop wrestling with polarity. So when something goes in a way that we wouldn't prefer, we could say, oh, this is what we're doing now. Okay, this is what we're doing now. And in this experience with Merlin, I realized that many of the spiritual people, they gave good advice, he's still there in spirit. And I just wanted to punch him in the muzzle, It's like, what are you talking about? Just, be with it. It's to the degree that people cannot face their own heartache and sorrow, they try to gloss over it and spiritualize it and put wisdom on top of it. But that is not what that inner child needs. What I needed when I cried about losing my little soulmate was just to have a hug. And to be allowed to cry, to have that part of me that is in such sorrow and grief, to just be allowed to be, to breathe. So we're all grieving right now, darlings. We're not upset about the world. We're grieving. We are grieving that which we hoped would manifest by now. A world of peace. A world where all beings get along. A world where leaders are on our side. And that is what we're grieving. It didn't manifest yet. Just the opposite. We're grieving this world, seemingly going to pieces. We're grieving our own innocence. We're grieving so much. And when we put spiritual wisdom on top of all that, it just doesn't work. The grief just goes deeper into the basement. So what I did when Merlin died, I absolutely unabashedly let myself cry and feel that pain. And it's happened before. When I lived in Alaska, I had a partner. I was madly in love with that partner, and he crashed his airplane in front of me and died. So I was in the plane 5 minutes before. He went back up, did acrobatics, and was too low, and he crashed. So I have this history of shocking loss, but it's a theme that life has given me to work with, because I'm really a shaman. And what does a shaman do? He goes to the most horrendous places and explores them so he can be a guide, he or she can be a guide for others. Because I believe if we do not explore what is within us, the horror, the grief, the intense pain that is in the human psyche, from being so traumatized, this planet has been traumatized forever. And we have inherited that trauma of Earth, of these lives, of our lineage, of our own experiences of trauma. If we cannot meet it fully, we just drive it deeper. If we gloss over it with spiritual wisdom and make it wrong, we just drive it deeper into the fabric of our very psyche. And so for me, being a good shaman and a mystic, I allow myself to go. I don't try to avoid it anymore. I just meet it as it is. And then I connect with the other part, it's not other, but the deeper conscious part of me that knows the oneness, that knows the true wisdom, that walks and talks with God, and knows that this polarity exists for whatever reason. And it accepts that there are no answers. Because the inner child always wants to know why. I asked why. Why did you have to take away this being of pure joy, the being that reminded me of you? Why did you have to take that away? I was angry. But it's the inner child trying to ask the question why, because she thinks if she could figure out why, she could avoid more pain. But what if there is no answer to this, the way this world is showing up? What if there is nothing to figure out, only to live it? To live this experience truly, authentically, honestly, with presence, and to just be here without making any part of ourselves or this world wrong. We're having this experience within ourselves and together. So just check and see, how much do you make it wrong? How much do you try to resist it and push it away? And it shouldn't be. What creates the suffering is, it should not be. This should not be, this should not be, this should not be, right? All the arguments with life, that is what creates the suffering. So in A Course in Miracles, it's so full of gems, but one of them is, you will yet learn that peace is part of you and requires only that you be there to embrace any situation in which you are. And finally, you will learn that there is no limit to where you are, so that your peace is everywhere as you are. So I want to repeat that. This is incredible, and it's related to the other quote, nothing real can be threatened. Nothing unreal exists. Herein lies the peace of God. So when we look at just that, at just the phenomena of the separation, of the polarity, we go crazy. But when we look at the whole picture, there is a peace underneath it all. It's really hard for the mind to understand. But I'll say that again, that teaching from the Course in Miracles. You will yet learn that peace is part of you and requires only that you be there to embrace any situation in which you are. And finally, you will learn that there is no limit to where you are, so that your peace is everywhere as you are. So in a way, what this is, we're letting the deeper truth, the deeper peace in us come out. We focus on that. We start from there. We let it expand, and we're letting it embrace and envelop all the sorrows, all the parts that are in sorrow and grief. So we're tuning into the peace. We're recognizing that there is peace in the depth of all in our being. And we let it expand and grow, and to where it just permeates all the waves and all the craziness and all the pain, and it just envelops and embraces everything. So that's basically just a shift of focus. Instead of having this polarity, oh, this is right, this is wrong, and not wanting what is wrong and wanting what is right, all of that is just that same fight that keeps it all going. It keeps it all churning, and that's what's manifesting in the world. But I think it's its last hurrah. We are going to peace. Those of us who've wanted that, we are going to peace. We're just going through the death throes of an old layer of consciousness. We're done. We've explored this long enough. We don't need it anymore. So just know, whatever it looks like, let your peace, your deeper peace, embrace it. And it doesn't mean that on an action level, you wouldn't do something to improve situations in the world. You know, if you can help in some way, do it. This is an inner attitude I'm talking about. And so what I did, so little Merlin Ananda was very unusual, and he would come on walks with me. I walk every day for half an hour, and he'd come on walks with me, and he was so funny, and I just so appreciated his company. So now when I go up my hill, I see him and I miss him. And so I do this this Buddhist practice. The monks, that just walked 2,300 miles from Texas to Washington, D.C. for peace, they were focusing on that. May I be free of suffering. May all beings be free of suffering. So as I'm walking, I'm mindful of each step, and as best as I can, and the breath. And if tears come, I let them come. But then I put the mind on these statements. So if you would repeat after me, I'll go slow. May I be free of resentment and conflict. And take a deep breath. May all beings be free of resentment and conflict. May I be free of physical and emotional and mental suffering. May all beings be free of physical, emotional, and mental suffering. May I be free from the habit of judging everyone and the world. And may all beings everywhere be free of the habit of judging everyone and the world. May I focus on the deep wisdom and peace that is within me. May all beings focus on the deep wisdom and peace that is within them. Beautiful. So, you know how I talked about training the mind? And it's like training a dog. You just have to keep doing it. Some dogs are very hard to train. Some minds are hard to train. And I forget, I go back into the grief and missing Merlin, but when I go up that hill, I say these prayers. I say them out loud, I think them as I focus on the breath and on each step. So I'm becoming more intentional with the energy. So if everything is energy, I become more intentional by practicing. And I'm not that perfect at it, but I am willing to practice this and to shift the energy. The other thing I did is when I um, when I walk up that hill and I miss him, I focus on a love that is still there through the bushes, through the greens, through the grasses, through the earth that I walk on, the air that touches my skin, the sunshine that hits my head, the smells of the flowers, the beauty of, and the birds that are flying. So everything in creation, I just focus on the love that is everywhere present. It's just no longer in that magnificent form. And which was my companion and my roommate and my my love. But it's still there. In its essence, it's always there. So I keep training the mind, but not making it wrong that I miss him. Not making it wrong that I'm grieving. And I'm grieving many, many things in this world. But also allowing training the mind and allowing the deeper peace that I am in my true being to embrace all of those other aspects of my experience. It isn't who I am. It's not who we are. We're not this all these emotions and all these experiences. We're not the body, we're not the mind, we're not the emotions, but we are experiencing these things. So to not make the experience wrong, because maybe that's what we came here for, to explore, just to have the experience. Yeah, what if it wasn't right or wrong? What if it's just to have the experience? Like, okay, when we think about we're going to Disneyland on all these rides, that's one thing. We have the idea, we think it's going to be a certain day, it's going to be a certain experience. But when we actually go there, we might get nauseous on the rides. We might get sick. We might have a heat stroke. We might have all kinds of different experiences than it was in our head when we planned the trip, right? So what if in a spirit world, before we incarnated and chose this life, we chose it exactly as it is to live out this particular life story. So it's not wrong. We chose it. It was one thing, if I'm spirit, it's one thing to think about it and go, oh yeah, I can do this, no problem. I want to have these experiences. But then actually having the physical experience and the physical focus, that's a whole different issue, right? Then you might get nauseous. You might go, no, I'm not up for that. What was I thinking? I can't do this. It's too much. It's too hard. So it's really about having the experience in the physical and seeing what happens. So what if we fail? And I think many, many light workers that came, many angels that came here to help, to raise the consciousness, they didn't make it because it was too hard. They're drug addicts. They are in facilities. They may have had developed mental imbalances. They may have even committed suicide. They may have been alcoholics. Whatever, they didn't make it through this maze of heartache. And we are still here. We are still here. We're still looking. We're still working with it. And so I want to say that every single one of us is a hero. You really are a hero. So I recently listened to a podcast. It's a Next Level Soul podcast with Alex Ferraro, and he had Betty Guadagno, and she is something else. She was a heroin addict, a crack addict. She was a prostitute. She was homeless. She was a criminal. She was really incredibly abusive herself. As she was abused, she was abusive. Both her parents had committed suicide. I mean, what a story. Unbelievable. And I have never seen anybody who was so authentic and so honest and so just totally just telling as it is. It was inspiring to hear her. And she died. So she had a near-death experience, or two. And she said the first thing that happened, she saw her life. She had a life review, and she said it was really horrible. It was so horrible. She everything from her perspective and the other people that she abused, all of it she felt. And then she was taken to a place in a more angelic light realm where beings were helping her, and she saw that they had planned with her the pre-birth planning, and she saw that she chose it, this journey, and they said, you deserve all the love in the universe. And so when she came back into her body, it wasn't like overnight, a switch, like, a sudden shift. When you have that much physical imprint and mental and emotional imprint, it took a while. And these addictive parts of her, they took a while. So she went into 17 months of rehab, where she studied A Course in Miracles, where she studied every spiritual book she could find, because they weren't allowed internet connection. So she was like slowly but surely working with these parts in her mind that wanted to keep taking over. Like wanting, hey, let's go have a drink, let's. So she kept working with it very consciously and slowly but surely. And she still, has these tendencies, and she's acknowledging them completely openly. She doesn't push anything under the rug. And she is now helping thousands and thousands and thousands of people. She has become a spiritual guide. If someone like Betty can overcome what she overcame, anyone can do it. It takes the willingness to not judge, to not make ourselves and our journey wrong. So are you, dear ones, beloved ones, beautiful, shining souls, are you willing to stop making yourself and any part of your journey and any aspect of your experience wrong? Are you willing? Raise your hand if you are. So it's really incredible. And Betty, she said, I would not trade it for anything. She would not change a thing about her life. And the stuff she went through, unbelievable. Unimaginable. So let's take a deep breath. So in this crazy world right now, it's always been crazy, but it's just showing itself, more and more, and we're more connected. The very best thing to do is to tune in very deeply within us and to be guided by our inner navigation system. To take a break from the negative news, from social media, from anything and everything that brings down our vibration. Go into nature, hug trees, walk barefoot, dance in the rain, connect, reflect, contemplate, meditate, and love all those parts of you, embrace all those parts of you, meet them, the ones you have judged, the ones you don't want, the ones you want to fix and heal and spiritualize, meet them all aspects. That's what God does. And then tune into what you really wish to see in your life, in yourself, as well as globally. Imagine a new world, the one you would love to live in. And you will contribute more in 5 minutes of doing these things than you could in a lifetime of watching news feeds. And getting upset about politicians or war. Goodness. So becoming aware of the expansiveness and power of our true being, that is our soul, is bigger than our body, bigger than our mind, mental habits. And it's bigger than anything. It's connected to the all that is. And it is benevolent. Have you noticed the benevolence of the universe lately? And the more challenging things are, I've noticed, the more grace we receive as well. I've noticed that there is so much grace. I could have died 100 times in this life, and I was saved by grace. From crashing hang gliders to diving in Alaska and having, mishaps. I mean, I was saved a million times. Even when I, in my youth, didn't want to stay on the planet, I was saved from myself. So there is grace, there is help, there is assistance. And it is keeping up to the measure that there is strife and challenge and darkness. To that measure, there is grace and light as well. So as we are willing to we're willing to receive that grace and the loving help, and it all is unfolding as it needs to. And that loving perspective relaxes our mind and heart. So repeat after me. There is no right or wrong. No matter how much my mind wants to make it so. I listen to the deeper wisdom of my heart. The sacred heart that can embrace all things. So with this closing song, I want to bring us to the Walk for Peace with the monks. This is a song about it's called Walk for Peace, and their story. And it's just such a beautiful song. So imagine yourself taking each step on your own journey, in your own life's journey. You're walking each step with this attitude of presence and of peace. They walked through through rain, through storms. They walked through hardships. They were yelled at. They were hit by a truck. One monk lost his leg. And Aloka, their little dog, Aloka means light. There was a homeless dog in India who adopted the monks, and they didn't have the heart to turn him away. He walked with wounded paws. He just wouldn't take no for an answer. He walked with the monks. So this song is about that walk. Step by step beneath the sky, we walk with hope, you and I. Let the anger fade away. Let compassion lead our way. Every heart can learn to heal. Every wound can slowly seal. In this world of joy and grief, we rise again and walk for peace. Walk for peace, walk for light. Walk through day and walk through night. Hand in hand the world will see. Peace begins with you and me. Walk for truth, walk for love. Guided by the stars above. Let all hatred finally cease. Come with me. Let's walk for peace. Across the land from sea to sea, a message carried peacefully. 120-day walk so wide, 2,300 miles they stride. Buddhist monks with hearts so pure, Aloka walking strong and sure. Step by step their prayers increase, calling all to walk for peace. Walk for peace, walk for light. Walk in courage shining bright. Every breath a prayer release for a world that walks in peace. Walk for hope, walk for love. Blessed with wisdom from above, let all sorrow find release. come with me. Let's walk for peace. May all beings live in freedom. May all suffering gently cease. May our footsteps write the story of a world that walks in peace. Through the valleys, over mountains, let our gentle courage rise. Peace is born in every moment when compassion fills our eyes. Walk for peace, walk for light, walk with courage shining bright. Hand in hand the world will see. Peace begins with you and me. Walk for truth, walk for love, guided by the stars above. Let all hatred finally cease. Come with me. Let's walk for peace. Let's walk for peace.